Hi there, a pleasant day for all of us. Are you having a difficult time to reflect what is your philosophies and principles of teaching? Here is a topic that will help you with this difficulty. My presentation's topic entitled Philosophies and Principle in Teaching. Philosophy of Education. All teachers have a personal philosophy that colors the way they teach. Engaging in philosophy helps clarify what they do or intended to do, justify or explain why they do what they do in logical, systematic manner. What is philosophy of teaching? It is the values and beliefs that teacher follows in his or her teaching. Numerous philosophers have studied what it means to teach and learn, and have come up with various explanations of the process of becoming educated. Faculty begin to refine their own beliefs and understandings of what it means to know through examining numerous theories of knowledge and making sense of the processes of teaching and learning in their own minds. What makes a teaching philosophy? Beliefs based about teaching and learning, students' knowledge, what is worth knowing, and personal beliefs in philosophical areas which inspired by philosophies of education and resulted to a good teaching behavior. What are your beliefs about teaching? In constructivist perspective versus transmission perspective, constructivist perspective is the most important part of instruction is that it encourages sense-making or thinking among students. Content is secondary. While transmission's perspective, the most important part of instruction is the content of the curriculum. That content is the community's judgment about what children need to be able to know and do. These are the five branches of philosophies that inspired philosophies of education and teaching. Metaphysics, which is the curriculum or truth. Epistemology, knowing the curriculum and methods. Logic, how curriculum is organized. Axiology and ethics, the characters and values of the teacher. And axiology or aesthetics, the art, literature, or itself. These are the philosophies constructed from the five branches of philosophies which is used in education and teaching. In philosophies of teaching, perennialism and essentialism are the philosophies of teaching which is teacher-centered that focus on subject. Social reconstructionism and existentialism are the philosophies of teaching which is student-centered that focus on the learners and society, and progressivism which is both teacher and learner-centered. Perennialism. It is focused upon fundamental subject areas and more memorization. Teacher in this philosophy don't want change. It is also associated with other philosophy such as idealism, character, Plato, and liberalism. Alfred Adler said about perennialism that there are thousands of degrees and variations, but it is always clearly the attitude of a person who finds his superiority in solving the complication of others. Plato also said, and once we have given our community a good start, I pointed out, the process will be cumulative. By maintaining a sound system of education, we produce citizens of good character and citizens of sound character. With the advantage of a good education, produce in turn children better than themselves and better able to produce still better children in their turn, as can be seen with animals. Essentialism. It emphasizes on a traditional education and development of the mind. The teacher is also all-knowing and disciplinary and controlling of the curriculum on students. It is also associated with other philosophies such as realism, philosophy of Ganon, and philosophy of truth. Kurt Vonnegut said about essentialism, everything that ever had been always will be, and everything that ever will be always has been. Albert Einstein also said, there are also a few enlightened people with a lucid mind and style and with good taste within a century. What has been preserved of their work belongs among the most precious possession of mankind. We owe it for a few writers of antiquity, Plato, Aristotle, etc., that the people in the Middle Ages could slowly extricate themselves from the superstitions and ignorance that had darkened life for more than a half of millennium. Nothing is more needed to overcome the modernist snobbishness than to read the original great minds. Progressivism. The teacher is a facilitator and guide in this philosophy. School is a reflection of the wider world. The student's world is the focus and starting point of education. It is also whole child focus. It is also active rather than passive learning, experimentation, or discovery. It is also associated with other philosophies such as constructivism, experimentalism, pragmatism, and theories of Brunner. Maria Montessori uses this philosophy and stated that we cannot know the consequences of suppressing a child's spontaneity when he is just beginning to be active. We may even suffocate life itself. That humanity which is revealed in all its intellectual splendor during the sweet and tender age of childhood should be respected with a kind of religious veneration. It is like the sun which appears at dawn or a flower just begin to bloom. Education cannot be effective unless it helps a child to open up himself to life. Social Reconstructivism. Social Reconstructivism is community-based learning and addressing real problems. It is also social action, critical thinking, and praxis. Reconstructivists challenge the conventional world and discover one's own place and freedom and active participation in the change of the world. It is also associated with other philosophy such as praxis, activism, and critical pedagogy. Paulo Freire said, education either functions as an instrument which is used to facilitate integration of the younger generation in the logic of the present system and bring about conformity, or it becomes a practice of freedom, the means by which men and women deal critically and creatively reality and discover how to participate in the transformation of their world. Existentialism. It raised the personal awareness of students towards their existence as free agents. It also emphasizes the ability of an individual to determine the course and nature of his or her life and the importance of personal decision making. It helps students self-actualize and become free agents who decide the course of their own lives. It is also associated with other philosophies such as humanism, psychology, and logotherapy. Rollo May said about essentialism that human freedom involves our capacity to pause between the stimulus and response, and in that pause, to choose the one response toward which we wish to throw our weight. The capacity to create ourselves based upon this freedom is inseparable from consciousness or self-awareness. Principles of teaching. There is a Chinese proverb stated that 1,000 teachers, 1,000 methods, which means that in every teacher, they uses different methods to enhance or improve their teaching. There are different approaches and methods as principle in teaching. Some of it are teaching approaches, which is a set of principles, beliefs, or ideas about the nature of learning which is translated into the classroom. Teaching strategy is a long-term plan of action designed to achieve a particular goal. Teaching method, a systematic way of doing something. It implies an orderly, logical arrangement of steps, or more procedural. Lastly, the teaching techniques, which is a well-defined procedure used to accomplish a specific activity or task. The following are teaching approaches examples. Teacher-centered approach. The teacher is perceived to be the only reliable source of information in contrast to the learner-centered approach. Learner-centered approach, in which it is premised on the belief that the learner is also an important resource because he or she knows something and is therefore capable of sharing something. Subject matter-centered approach. Subject matter gains primacy over that of the learner. Teacher-dominated approach. In this approach, only the teacher's voice is heard. He or she is the sole dispenser of information. Interactive approach. In this approach, an interactive classroom will have more student talk and less teacher talk. Students are given the opportunity to interact with teacher and with other students. Constructivist approach. The students are expected to construct knowledge and meaning out for what they are taught by connecting them for prior experience. Banking approach. The teacher deposits knowledge into the empty minds of students for students to commit to memory. Integrated approach. It makes the teacher connects what he or she teaches to other lessons of the same subject or interdisciplinary, or connect his or her lessons with other subjects, thus making his or her approach interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Disciplinal approach. It limits the teacher to discussing his or her lesson within the boundary of his or her subject. Collaborative approach. It will welcome group work, teamwork, partnerships, and group discussion. Individualistic approach. It wants the individual students to work by themselves. Direct teaching approach. The teacher directly tells or shows, demonstrate what is to be taught. Indirect guided approach. The teacher guides the learners to discover things for himself or herself. The teacher facilitates the learning process by allowing the learner to be engaged in the learning process with his or her guidance. There are also other teaching approaches cited in education literature. They are research-based approach. As the name implies, teaching and learning are anchored on research findings. Whole child approach. The learning process itself takes into the account not only the academic needs of the learners, but also their emotional, creative, psychological, spiritual, and developmental needs. Metacognitive approach. The teaching process brings the learner to the process of thinking about thinking. The learner reflects on what he or learned on his or her ways of learning. Problem-based approach. As the name implies, the teaching learning process is focused on problems. Time is spent on analyzing and solving problems. In summary, approaches vary in the degree of teacher and learner engagement, focus, number of learners involved in the teaching learning process, as shown in the diagram below. Direct or expository approach. There are two types of direct or expository approach: the direct instruction or lecture method and the demonstration method. Direct instruction is aimed at helping students acquire procedural knowledge exercised in the performance of some task. Procedural knowledge refers to skills needed in the performance of a task. There are two types of assessment: the summative assessment and the formative assessment. The goal of summative assessment is to evaluate student learning at the end of an instructional unit by comparing it against some standard or benchmark. Summative assessment are often high stakes, which means that they have a high point value. Example of summative assessments includes a midterm exam, final process or project, and a paper. The goal also of formative assessment is to monitor student learning, to provide ongoing feedback that can be used by instructors to improve their teaching and by students to improve their learning. More specifically, formative assessment are going to help students identify their strengths and weaknesses and target areas that need work. It is also help faculty recognize where students are struggling and address problem immediately. Formative assessment are generally low stakes, which means that they have a low or no point value. Example of formative assessments include asking students to draw a map in a class to represent their understanding of a topic. Submit one or two sentences identifying the main point of a lecture. Lastly, turn a research proposal for early feedback. Demonstration method. As the name implies, in the demonstration method, the teacher or an assigned students or group shows how a process is done while the students become observers. The demonstrator is knowledgeable in preparing the apparatus needed according to the steps to be followed. The rest of the class becomes focused on the activity and demonstration and concentration on the subject is assured. The advantages of demonstration method are: the demonstration method follows a systematic procedure. The use of expensive equipment and machines will be maximized. Possible wastage of time, effort, and resources will be avoided since the demonstration is supposed to be well planned in advance. It will not result to trial and error learning as what happens with unplanned learning activities. The findings are reliable and accurate since the procedure has been tried before. The value of confidence is developed among the demonstrator, such as hands-on demonstration. Curiosity and keen observing ability are instilled among the observers. Indirect or guided or exploratory approach. Indirect instruction method is best used when the learning process is inquiry-based, the result is discovery, and the learning context is a problem. Indirect instruction can come as in three types: inquiry method or discovery method, problem-solving method, and project method. In inquiry method, we'll never be able to help children learn if we will tell them everything they need to do and know. Rather, we must provide them with opportunities to explore, inquire, and discover new learning. The core of inquiry is spontaneous and a self-directed exploration. Problem-solving method is a teaching strategy that employs the scientific method in searching for information. The 5 basic steps of scientific method or investigatory process are: first, sensing and defining the problem, formulating hypothesis, testing the likely hypothesis, analysis, interpretation, and evaluation of evidence, and lastly, formulating conclusion. Advantages of problem-solving method is that this method is most effective in developing skills in employing the science processes. The scientific method can likewise be used effectively in other non-science objects. The students' active involvement resulting in meaningful experiences serves as a strong motivation to follow the scientific procedure in future undertaking. 4. Problem solving develops higher level thinking skills. A keen sense of responsibility, originality, and resourcefulness are developed, which are much needed ingredients for independent study. The students become appreciative and grateful for the achievement of scientists. Critical thinking, open-mindedness, and wise judgment are among scientific attitudes and values inculcated through competence in the scientific method. And lastly, the student learn to accept the opinions and evidence shared by others. Thank you for watching and listening. Hope it will help you and give you ideas on how to better your teaching styles. Have a good day and God bless.